I'm just outside of my hometown, Kelowna, BC, and well, I'm technically in the district of Kelowna, so but we're not downtown. I'm visiting the homestead of some friends of mine that I've known for almost 10 years, and they have a YouTube channel called You Can't Eat the Grass, and they kind of vlog about their homesteading and their gardening, but they've just bought this new 2.5 acre property and it's got tons of potential. I'm kind of jealous, to be honest, because this was my dream for a long time, but I'm not legitimately jealous. I'm very happy where we are. But today I want to show you guys around their homestead. They've got a lot going on here, a lot of potential. They would like to scale into being a commercial market garden, so we're going to talk about that. They've got some fruit trees on the property they want to utilize, and they basically just want to grow a bunch of food. They're gonna have some animals in here, and they got a lot of potential on this property. So let's check in with them and see where this place might go in the next couple of years. So they're at this awesome new homestead, and it's what, 2 acres?
2.5 acres.
2.5 acres, and we're gonna kind of take a tour around their site and talk about what they might do, and maybe some first steps, and let's just check it out. So they've got their homestead back here, and that's probably, like, if we were to say where it cuts off with the trees, that's probably 1/3 of the property, hey?
About that, yeah.
About that.
Because it goes in front of it as well.
Yeah. And we've got a slight slope to the east, but it's really open to the south, which is awesome. And then this building down here, you guys, tell me about what's going on at this building.
Well, it's 2,000 square feet, and right now half of it is like a living space, and the other half is shop space. So this building is going to be our main focus when we kind of get going with some effort in here on this property. We're going to side it. We're going to put a garage door in it so that we can actually use that shop for, you know, storing tractors and that type of stuff. All of our farming stuff is going to go in there.
Yeah, having 1,000 square foot just shop space is going to be
awesome.
A huge advantage.
Yeah.
Previous to this, it was a horse stable, so it's got like some weird footings, and we're gonna pour a concrete floor down there, so we've got a nice surface to work with, and that's where our fridge will go when we...
Your walk-in cooler and all that, your washing and all that.
Yeah, like a workstation for cleaning everything and prepping.
So what are your guys' plans with, you know, you've got your homestead here, and you've got at least 2 acres of, well, close to at least 2 acres that you could have as production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of that do you actually want to farm commercially?
We basically want to farm everything eventually.
Well, not necessarily farm. We want to have everything in production.
Yeah, you want to be growing stuff.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be having a 1 acre market garden is the long term.
But then we'll also have chickens, because we want to like you know, make a lot of our own soil and stuff, right? So we're gonna kind of get some wood chips rotting and kind of start feeding those into chickens and you know, let that compost, and that's going to be the basis of some of our soil. We're also talking eventually about having goats, so you know, some of the space would be for a little, you know, goat run and such.
Yeah, we're on ALR land, so we need to farm it. And like we need to make some sort of farm profit,
that's
but
right.
we moved out here for lifestyle reasons, more so than for business reasons.
Right.
So we want to have like the animals that go along with having, you know, like a family farm, and have those spaces that we enjoy, as well as actually, you know, create a product.
It's a lot of fruit agriculture in this area. For you guys who don't know, the Okanagan's all cherries and peaches and plums and stone fruits, apples.
One of the things that we've already talked about that we're kind of like locked in on a bit is we want to border the property with fruit trees, because, you know, orchards get pulled out, they, you know, they change, right? They're always in flux.
Yeah, we want to be here for 50 years, so we can't depend on our neighbor being an orchard for 50 years.
So we want to keep that, you know, privacy barrier. So we are going to plant a lot of trees along the outside there, just to give us like the homey feel, right?
Yeah.
8 of everything.
Yeah. But basically right now we're standing in where a market garden would go. Right, and so we've got a slight slope to the east, which is actually a good thing because you get early morning light, and less impact from the extreme heat, afternoon heat, which is actually really good here in the Okanagan. Have you thought about if you wanted to put greenhouses in, where they might go?
We've talked about along the edge as well, because it's such a nice open space. We wouldn't necessarily want to then put obstacles for the farming in. And we also would like to stay close to what would be like the working space for the fields.
Also, one of the greenhouses we'd like to actually have on like a more permanent basis, like not just like a hoop house type thing or whatever. Yeah. And so we want to run power to it. Right. And so, you know, like it's going to come from that outbuilding, and we just want to, you know, we don't want to put it all the way down to the end of the property and run power all the way across.
What I was going to say is, if you're going to have tunnels and you're going to divide this property, the tunnels might be the perfect divider. But if you wanted to do some kind of passive solar greenhouse, you're going to have to face it that way, running this way. Yeah. Meaning that you're going to have to terrace. So you're gonna have to excavate, which isn't a big deal for Ian. He's done that kind of work forever, so that's easy to do. You know what might be kind of a cool thing to do is, like, the fact that there's these trees here. You could put some more trees in the bottom here and make this sort of like almost like a park. Yeah. You know, if you're thinking of agritourism and you're thinking of, you want to have guests stay here. You don't want them close to your house. Yeah. That's going to be really invasive on your property. Is maybe down in this bottom, you make this sort of a riparian area.
That's a good idea.
That, like, you have all the paths that kind of come through, and then they can hang out. So it's like, when you have guests, they can have picnics down here and stuff, and it doesn't bother you.
Yeah. This was definitely going to be like some sort of seating area, because there's so little shade on the property.
Once we didn't want to take, like, outside. Ian obviously could hop the fence and cut down the trees. Ian's a faller, so and like no one would complain because they're Chinese elms and they're the worst. Yeah. But this is also like the only shade at this end of the property. Absolutely. And so it's nice to have it here.
I also want to have like a cool communal fire pit area, like a hang spot.
Yes.
This couldn't be the fire pit though, because the fire pit needs to be close to the water.
To the water, yeah.
Right.
And also close to the house, so we can keep an eye on people having a fire.
But needless to say, you could have this as sort of a picnic hangout area. That would be really nice.
I mean, if we did the agritourism, this corner would also be a spot to have another cabin.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. We were just talking about their cherry trees, and they haven't been sprayed because they actually, all the agriculture around here is conventional. Everything is sprayed. But some people are organic, but I was saying to these guys is that they could actually keep these organic, and they could put these things called kootenai bags on them. And a kootenai bag is basically like, it's like a bag of, it's like an insect netting white. It's like that Rime or Agribon stuff I use, but it's thicker. It lasts a long time. And it has a little zip thing on the bottom, so you wrap this bag over the tree.
And no bugs can get it?
Yeah, well, so you let them flower, you let them pollinate, and then as soon as they're pollinated, you put the kootenai bag on. Okay. And then that keeps the rest of the worms and the birds off it, and then you open them to harvest.
Yeah. That would be great, because it's not like it's so many trees that it would be an impossible task to...
Well, that's right. It becomes uneconomical after a certain amount of trees, but if this many trees, it could be. And you'd probably, you'd need to manage these trees a bit more too, right?
Yeah, they've never been pruned.
They haven't been pruned.
They need to be pruned.
Yeah. Well, they were when they started. That's why they're really straight. They were managed at some degree.
Yeah, they've been let go for a bunch of
years.
But
you could take care of them. And
well, I know I was at the farmer's market yesterday. Blowing my mind how expensive cherries are.
Cherries are expensive.
I was like, whoa, we've eaten $1,000 worth of cherries in the last week.
Since we've moved in, we've been having a meal a day of cherries. Like every single person.
Like 3 meals a day of cherries.
But,
we definitely want to control we don't want to get infested.
It's not very neighborly to let our cherry trees
become wormy.
One of the important things that we were going to do.
Because of any pests that enter in through our trees would then attack the neighbors.
That's right. Oh yeah.
So we want to make sure that we strip the fruit.
Yeah, we can't just let it fall on the ground and
we are gonna, when we get our chickens, we are gonna let them,
eat the. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's good. They finish the cycle. They eat the worms and stuff, and no, it's great.
Where we're at right now is we've moved in here last week, but we still have our old house. We still own it, and we are taking out our entire landscaping because it's all edible landscaping.
So you're gonna replant that stuff.
So we're gonna take it and we're gonna plant it out here because we have a couple $1,000s worth of food, and we also have some obscure permaculture type stuff that we don't want to have to source again.
Sure.
A very small percentage of the people would actually find any benefit that were looking for an urban house. You know, it's still
of course, but it's worth it to you.
Yeah, it's worth
and not
the
worth
labor.
anything to them. So yeah, you might as well take it.
We're gonna try and bring over everything we can. You know, just the fact that the house is 120 years old. There's some stuff that, you know, our insurance is like, you gotta take care of this staircase and you have to, like, you know, change some water lines and stuff. So there's like lots of construction tasks, and then obviously, you know, no siding on there, and you know, we really want to get that shop set up. Yeah. And get, you know, like the bones ready for being able to actually deal with the harvest, because like, what does it matter if we like plant an entire field worth of food and then we have nowhere to process it?
That's
right?
I always tell people, get your post-harvest sorted out well before you even break ground.
Well, that's kind of the plan. Like, the plan this year is to prepare for farming next year.
Yes.
You know, like, we do have some exposure to what it means to farm, you know, like through you and everything. And we know, like, one of the biggest things that is going to be a learning curve for us is, before, as like gardeners, you go out, you pick your salad, you eat your salad. But how do you get that salad to last until someone else can eat it? That's, you know, that's something that we need to get ready for. Yeah. Because if not, then we're just going to be shooting ourselves in the foot, because we're going to, you know, be out the door with a shoddy product, and then, you know.
And it's all for nothing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's Ian and Serena. You can tell there's a lot of ideas happening here for this property, and I think they're gonna, you know, figure these things out as they go. One of the things that I can see, which is common amongst everybody that I visit or consult for, is that there's a lot of ideas. There's no shortage of ideas. I think the challenge for them is going to be picking the right ideas and then having success with that one thing and then moving on to the next. So many people try to homestead or farm and do everything. And it's good to have the everything dream, but you really got to compartmentalize it into stages and achieve those stages and then move on to the next thing after you've had success from one. So I will leave their channels link in the show notes. Check them out, check out their videos if you want to follow their journey as it progresses, and I'm sure I'll be checking in on them again another time in the future. So if you guys liked that, leave a comment below, let me know what you think, leave me suggestions for other types of videos you want to make. You guys leave really great comments and I make videos based on what you ask. And make sure to like and share the videos with your friends. Subscribe, hit that silly notification button next to it, because if you don't, you won't be notified of when I release new videos. So we'll talk to you guys later.